Welcome to the Pat Sheranian Show. I mean, you just never know what day I'm going to turn up anymore. We have had another host on this show at this time, and unfortunately he's not able to continue broadcasting with us, so I'm sitting in today, and I have invited a very interesting young man to be with me. First of all, he has an amazing name, Jonathan Jaussi. Jaussi.
Yes.
Well, the listening audience knows I have more trouble with names than you could possibly imagine, but I want to know how and why it's pronounced with a Y when it's Jaussi.
Well, the Jaussi name is from Switzerland, and over there they say J as a Y sound, so we've just kept it that way. That's the way it's been since we came over here about 1900s.
Well, you look about that age. You've
Yeah,
been carrying it since then.
I wear it well. What can I say?
You do. And so your family background.
Yeah.
Is from there.
Yes, it is. From Switzerland. Our family came over, settled in the Paris-Bear Lake, Idaho area, and
Really?
we've been here ever since. And there's, I think, probably more Jaussis in America than there are in Switzerland,
I think it's a great name. I'm thinking of using it for something. I just think it's a lovely Jaussi, Jonathan. How is that? Now, if that didn't complicate things just a little bit, he's also an attorney. So we're going to a break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to find out what he's legalizing or not, or attorneying or not, or what he is doing with his life. I met him, and we laughed and laughed on the phone. We thought we were really having a great time, and we were. So we brought it to the table today, and let's see what happens. We'll be right back.
You've heard ads to send your old jewelry off to a refiner. Stop! Here's a better idea. Take your old jewelry and diamonds to the jeweler's bench. We are conveniently located in downtown Provo at 275 North University Avenue. I'm Daniel Broadbent, owner of the Jeweler's Bench. We are experienced in selling and buying fine jewelry. We give you an honest evaluation of what your pieces are worth, then give you several options. The Jeweler's Bench can buy your jewelry for cash now, or sell it for you on consignment, or even repair it or make it into something new. We buy antique jewelry, broken, worn-out jewelry, new jewelry, coins, or any other kind of precious metal. We will evaluate and give you the best value for your diamonds. Gold is high. Now is the time to sell. You need to convert that valuable stuff that you are not using into something that you can use right now. Come to the Jeweler's Bench for an immediate free evaluation. We are open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 275 North University Avenue, downtown Provo. We'd love to help you soon.
Tidbits of Utah County. No death, divorce, devastation, or destruction. Just good news for good people. You'll find us everywhere in Utah Valley, in doctors' offices, restaurants, mechanic shops, anywhere that people wait. We have over 35 features of fun, family-friendly entertainment. To find a paper or to advertise, call Roger at 801-616-6288. Again, that's Roger at 801-616-6288. We're Tidbits of Utah County, the happy paper for Happy Valley.
I'm Diana Hoffman, host of Healing Talk Radio. Everything you thought you knew about the brain is changing. There's an explosion of new research about how to repair our minds, heal our emotions, and enhance our relationships. Join me every Friday at noon as we interview top experts, review books, and debate the controversies. Healing Talk broadcasts live on KHQN 1480 AM and video streams at UtahValleyLive.com. For information, go to HealingTalkRadio.com.
Hey, thanks for being with us today on KHQN 1480 AM. We appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us and sharing with your friends that we are here. And if you're watching us on pat.utahvalleylive.com, we appreciate that also. We do have a chat room, and we encourage you to chat with us. By all means, a comment or a question, anything that you might have that's nice and decent and sweet and wonderful and noble, all those good things. So chat with us if you have a mind to. We'd appreciate that. Well, now that I've got Jonathan nailed down, because he's hard to nail down, he's a moving target for sure, just all over the place. Tell me about your practice, where you went to school, what you've been doing with any of those questions. Pick one.
Sure. I didn't always know I wanted to be an attorney, Pat. I thought I wanted to be a social worker and go out and fix families and be a marriage and family therapist. I learned something interesting about people, that sometimes people don't always want to make the changes that they need to make in order to really change things in their lives. So I got interested in law because, generally speaking, people were in crisis, and I like to help people in crisis. And they were ready to do what they need to do to fix those problems. So I applied to a bunch of different law schools out on the East Coast and around the country, and went to Roger Williams University in Bristol, Rhode Island. It's a beautiful place.
That's a gorgeous, gorgeous state.
It
Beautiful
is.
state.
And the Bristol campus is amazing because it's out on a peninsula. It's surrounded on 3 sides by ocean, so it's just stunning.
It must be a small college. Is it a small college?
It is. We had a graduating class of about 100, which is fairly small for law schools.
Now,
very intimate.
Brown's in Delaware.
I think Brown actually is in Providence.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have what would that be? It's my niece's husband graduated from Brown, and he loved the area. They both did. They loved the area, so that's a great place. What did you specialize in? Anything in particular?
I studied contracts and business as the school developed. It was kind of a generalist school. You didn't really get into specializing until the 2nd or 3rd year. Was very interested in business, taxation, those sort of things.
I know law can be very, very exciting, or can just bore you blind beyond words. I sat through some classes on torts and a lot of reading. Oh, my goodness, there was a lot of boring stuff. Yeah. When people get through that, it's interesting to see the ones that wind up going to trial. So are you a trial attorney, or are you mostly now just handling corporate? Or what are you doing?
A little mix of both. I think every attorney's got to be ready to go to trial. I do think most intelligent attorneys resolve a case short of trial. The last statistics I looked at showed something like 95% of cases never go to trial. 2 intelligent attorneys have worked this case up to where it's pretty obvious who's going to lose, and they make the decision to not go forward based upon that. But once or twice a year we'll end up in a trial, which is a lot of fun.
Or not.
Yeah.
Depending on what you got.
Yeah, depending on which end of the stick you're being beaten with, right?
The thing that amazed me over the years, because I've gone to trial as a witness for several different things. I was married to an attorney, and some of the things that they would get so angry, and they would just be so, you're right, beating each other with a stick kind of thing. And then as soon as there'd be a break, they'd say, let's go to lunch together. Women can't do that.
Yeah.
And you say something unkind to a woman, she takes it very unkind about anything. She takes it personally. And I finally reached the point one day, I had been in just a terrible thing that I was involved in. I sued, and we had gotten involved in this thing. Somebody owed me money, and I was very unhappy about it. And boy, we were arguing at the table. But I'd been around long enough by then that at the end of the 8 hours that we were just hammering each other, I said, okay, let's go to dinner now. The other attorney said yes, the husband said yes, and I thought the wife was going to have a conniption fit right there in front of me. Yeah. She wasn't about to go to lunch with me or dinner or ever wanted to see me again. But there's something men are able to do. They just put it aside and realize it's business.
Well, and I think any effective advocate can do that. I mean, we need to look at what is it we really want out of the case. And that's interesting for me as a former social worker, now turned attorney, to look at human needs as they relate to conflict. And when I describe to people what I do, I'm really in the business of resolving human conflict in the least destructive way possible. And there's a lot of jokes about lawyers and the legal system and how bad it is, but really there needs to be an avenue where people can resolve those differences in an orderly way. And if they can't resolve them, they throw it in front of a judge and let the judge resolve it. And even though we are in conflict, we don't have to hate each other. I think that's kind of a revelation to some people. They just can't let go of those bad feelings.
They really can't. But over the years, I've learned to, because we used to call it very simply when we grow up, don't blow up that bridge. You may have to walk over it again.
Right. Or rebuild it.
Or rebuild it. That's
harder
right.
Too.
Which is harder. But something you said there, people, when you're a social worker, it's really, really difficult to try or to help people see that they need to make changes in order to get where they want to go. It's very difficult. In the law, it's easier because they want to get this thing over. They want action. They want something to happen. So that's interesting. It must have been difficult working with in the social work to try, because you want to help people and they don't want to get helped.
Yes, right. And you are helping people, but sometimes you don't feel very impactful. And that's what I realized, that you can do a lot of good and you can help a lot of people, but they may not necessarily want to go the direction they need to go to really heal their lives.
So tell me where you're located.
I'm down in Payson, Utah, down at the south end of Utah County. It's a smaller town, and I love Payson. I love the environment. I love the people there. It's about 20 minutes away from Provo, so it's close enough to all of the things that I need, but far enough out that you can still see the stars at night.
Ah, that's nice. Nice little town.
It is.
And nice people.
It is.
I remember the first time I kind of walked around their little town and went in and out of some of the stores. I thought I was in South Carolina because everybody's very nice to me.
Uh-huh.
And what could they do to help? And you get that in the South. The further south you go, you have people very kind. Unless they're in the middle of debates going on and elections. And I don't know. I don't recognize some of the people and their attitudes from when I grew up there. So we're going to talk about politics. Right now it's focused on South Carolina and what's happening there.
I'd love to.
So you want to tell me what you think about Mitt Romney? Should we start there? You want to start with Obama?
Sure. He seems to be the apparent front runner for the moment. Mitt Romney is out in front. I am basically a conservative, more of the libertarian bent, and I've had a number of wonderful discussions with friends on Facebook and wherever we bump into people. And, Mitt Romney is an interesting character. He's dynamic. He's a businessman. I think he would be great for America. My only quarrel with Mitt Romney is I'm not sure Mitt Romney knows who Mitt Romney is. A lot of times I see him being a little too much of a businessman in the sense that he's always peddling what sells. And what sells right now is conservatism. That's not necessarily his record. I still think even absent that, he would make a great choice for president.
Well, I feel like he's got the staying power. Also, I think he's tough enough. I was not involved in the Olympics in Salt Lake, but I certainly was aware of what they were doing because years ago I put on a dance festival in Southern California with 10,000 kids, and it took us 2 years to pull that together. I mean, we're talking sequins from Thailand and Taiwan and contracts and negotiations and on a very small scale compared to anything that happened to the Olympics. So it really drains every part of your mind and body. I happened to have met Mitt at that time. I found him to be an engaging person. The thing that disturbs me watching him on TV is not as relaxed, anywhere near as relaxed as when you see him in person. And he smiles when he's really angry. And I wish sometimes he'd just say, stop that. He did the other night. He did that a little bit. Well, then, okay, so now that we've heard about that, we were planning on talking politics. If you've been with me the last few days, I seem to veer right off into it one way or the other because I am a bit of a news junkie. I do watch a lot of Fox, but I watch the other stations too to see what they're doing. So let me go to Ron Paul because I can't even believe now. I believe in the Constitution. I believe I'm learning more about the original Constitution and how it has been changed over the years. And in fact, we hope to get the Thomas Jefferson Center on air with us once a week. We're pushing for that. So if you know anybody with the Thomas Jefferson Center, encourage them. They're trying to raise sponsorship money to come on the air with us. So I believe in Ron Paul that way. But would he be a good leader? No. Want to talk about that, or you agree with me?
The no part or the agreeing with you? You seem like a good person to agree with. I don't know about that, but Ron Paul.
No,
Ron Paul is an interesting person. What reasons
he would get us in? I mean, we'd be in war. Hey, I was raised near Fort Bragg. Okay, I understand what it is to have the Army close by. We felt very secure. Always felt secure. Anywhere there's a post, you feel like you're secure. He wants to shut them all down. No.
Yeah, I think there is something really to be said for Ron Paul. I think if I were to compartmentalize the stands that the man has on foreign policy away who he is. I agree with a lot of what Ron Paul says. Unfortunately, he really is. He's a non-interventionalist to the point also where he could probably be conceived as an isolationist. It was that same sort of sentiment that kept us out of World War II. Some people argue that's a good thing until it was just unavoidable. But I look at the situation right now in Iran, and I hear Paul saying things that are hard to square up with our national interests. You know, he really isn't concerned about Iran. This is a country that has been on the list of state sponsors of terrorism, that's known to sell weapons to terrorist organizations. They're developing a nuclear weapon. You know, how far along this process they are, we really don't know. But every president since Carter has been very concerned with Iran. We have an enormous military presence all around that country. And Ron Paul essentially says, well, if they get a nuclear weapon, what problem is that of ours?
Let's be nice. Let's play nice. I don't think you can do it. He wants to live by the golden rule when it comes to foreign policy, and it can't be. I don't think it can be done. I also question his ability when he's pushed really hard. He hasn't been in the kind of leadership positions. He's been a doctor. He's worked with people, yes, but I don't think that he has had the kind of stress and strain. Also, he'll be 80 years old by time of election. And that does slow people down.
It does, but it's also, you know, I've learned to respect people that are approaching 80. They tend to be a lot wiser and have gone through a lot more of life experience. They know what's a big deal, what's not. With Paul, though, he is a constitutional purist. He doesn't see America's role as intervening in every little problem that the world suffers. I don't know that I would read the Constitution that way, and I think a lot of times these constitutional purists end up with such difficulty of things that are happening in our country. They view them as unconstitutional when in fact they are extra-constitutional. The Constitution did not contemplate every single situation we could be in. And I don't think it was meant to. It was meant to be something that we would continue to interpret, continue to enforce. Constitution is about ideals. It's about a standard. It's kind of like the personal mission statement of the country. This is who we are. This is what we stand for.
And I appreciate that part of him. Mm-hmm. I do. I appreciate what he's trying. And that was his mission.
Yeah.
He said that was his mission when he started out, was not to become president. He said that 2 or 3 times on camera. Mm-hmm. Was not to become president, but to bring an awareness to the United States of how the Constitution had been changed.
And he's done that.
And right, he has done that. He's
quite successfully.
He has accomplished that. And so, okay, there we are with Ron Paul.
But really, one of the greatest risks of non-interventionalism, of isolationism, is that we stand by and we allow genocide to take place. It's not our problem. It's happening over there. I don't think we can countenance that. We've been given the position to stop these sort of things for a reason.
Yes. Okay. Because I don't know where to go from there that would would not get me in trouble and say more than I want to say. I would like to talk about Rick.
I don't really have any specific opinions on Rick. Rick seems to be a well-rounded guy, very interesting. You look for one big thing that says, I'm not comfortable with this person. I don't see it.
Sanatorium.
Yeah, I don't see any big glaring thing with him where I would not vote for him. I'm watching him with keen interest.
Okay, he seems to be kind of a middle of the road kind of guy. I don't know that he would fight too hard for one way or another. He's a pleaser by nature. Mm-hmm. I think he's come along a lot further than maybe he thought he was going to, mm-hmm. And. I'm not sure who he really is.
That seems to be one of those things that keeps on popping up over and over again with some of these other candidates, is we don't really know who they are. And with some of them, I'm not sure if they really know who they are. I think Newt knows exactly who he is.
All right, let's take Newt on, okay? Actually, we need to go to a commercial break. Can you do us a commercial break over there right about now? No? Yes. We're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to our broadcast. Please do us a favor and take a moment to call, text, or email your friends and family and let them know about this show. We're live on this radio station, KHQN AM 1480, and on UtahValleyLive.com, where this show will be archived for later viewing. Also, Utah Valley Live is seeking additional programming for our growing network. Talk shows about religion or politics, how-to shows, and more. Go to UtahValleyLive.com and send us your contact information and the show you would like to broadcast.
LDS members have unique questions when moving out of state. LDSagents.com has answers. Since 1999, LDSagents.com has been a free nationwide service connecting you with over 3,000 real estate agents who understand your needs. Tell your family members about LDSagents.com.
Hi, this is Julia Curry. Join me on KHQN 1480 AM on Mondays from noon to 1 o'clock. Exciting things are happening in Utah Valley, and there's much to talk about. I'll have a variety of guests each week discussing current issues, entertainment, and events specific to Utah Valley. So tune in and tell your friends. You never know who will be sharing the microphone with me, but I guarantee we're going to have a good time. That's the Julia Curry Show, Monday, noon to 1 o'clock, right here on KHQN 1480 AM. Hi, this is...
Are you an athlete looking for a natural boost to your workout? Have you studied up on the benefits of nitric oxide production to your performance? Then you'll want to try Kyani's Nitro Extreme. Nitro Extreme promotes cardiovascular health and improved blood flow, supports muscle contraction and relaxation, as well as nerve transmission. I use Nitro Extreme right before I lift weights, and I've never been stronger in my entire life. If you don't try Nitro Extreme, you'll never know what you're missing. Call 801-362-9552 to order yours today. That's 801-362-9552.
Okay, we're back. This is Pat Sheranian. It's my hour today. And pretty soon we're going to have another host here. I think we're up to 11 now, different hosting of different programs. We're on in the morning from 9 to 10, soon to be 8 to 9. We're on from 12 to 2, and soon to be on from 4 to 6. So a lot of things are happening here at the station, and very excited about that. My guest today is Jonathan Jaussi. Jaussi. We established that.
That's me.
He is a practicing attorney down in Payson. And where can they find your office?
Well, you can find us on the web. That's the best place.
Okay, what's your web?
It's www.freedomlegal.com. And the phone number is easy to find as well. It's just 801-FREEDOM. And for those of you who don't like remembering letters,
no,
it's 801-373-3366.
Well, that's easy enough.
It is.
Yeah, that's
if you ever
easy.
Forget it, just remember 801-FREEDOM.
There you go.
Remember your freedom.
So are you you're general law? Would that be correct that you're in practicing general law?
I think of necessity,
just about everything?
Yeah. I focus on real estate and business, but the nature of small town practice is that you also have a little bit of whatever comes through the door. And these people are part of a small community, and when they know there's just a couple lawyers down there, so we end up with everything.
That's great. And it really is. It's a nice thing to be able to live in a small town and become an intricate part of the community.
Yeah.
I think that's really, having been raised in a lot of small towns.
Mm-hmm. That having been said, though, I do have a statewide practice. I've got clients from Logan to St. George, and I get out and get around, and it's fun.
What type of, in this economy in particular, what type of law do you find that you're more involved in? Are we trying to save people's homes, or trying to handle I don't know if you handle bankruptcies or not, but trying to help people prevent bankruptcies? Divorce?
Sadly, all of those things in exactly the opposite order you just mentioned them. There's been, with the financial pressures have been there's been a lot of divorces. There's been a lot of bankruptcy. And
can I ask why? What is the main reason? Is it money?
It is. And, most people will tell you that money is the number one cause for divorce problems and disagreements over money. And, I'm sure that's probably a source of an entire show from some of your other your hosts here coming up.
Well, we have a young man on Tuesdays that talks about relationships.
Yeah.
And but it's sad. I guess that's why I asked that question, because it's difficult, very, very difficult. Difficult for the kids, difficult for the two adults involved. Okay, we'll do that later maybe, but we're coming back to politics, because when we first spoke, I said, what's your favorite hot button or words to that effect? And he said, politics. And I said, good, because I enjoy the debates. I enjoy getting to watch people, getting to know them a little bit better. Newt has been an interesting personality. He's been around a long time. I've watched him on ESPN when there's been something happening on the floor. But he's got a quick temper, which I brought this up yesterday. Okay, so something happens and he gets angry about it and takes it personally. And what does he hit the red button and we're in a war? Or can he calm himself down? He's managed to, but it took almost 3 weeks for him to get calmed down so that he's over. Well, I don't know if he's over his anger or not. Mm-hmm. He may still be angry, but what do you think?
Newt is he is. I mean, I think his latest campaign against Romney shows that he's he can be pretty vitriolic. He can go right for the jugular. You need a little bit of that in politics. But I think as a general proposition, the American people want something different, and it's not working for him. I mean, he's come up a little bit in the polls, but the question is...
They're saying now that he has an opportunity, it looks like, to take South Carolina.
Yeah, that's if his ex-wife doesn't do him in. I mean, the truth is going to come out about all of these. I think this is a healthy process. A lot of people have been very concerned about, the Republicans are at each other's throat. This is so destructive for the party. It's going to drag on and on and on before we get somebody in as a nominee. I actually think this is great. I mean, if all of these candidates are to be able to stand up at what the Democrats are going to be throwing at them soon, they have to be properly vetted.
What are the Democrats all about?
Well, I mean, I think you look at the last 3 years of our country, and it's pretty clear where they want to go.
I watched Harry Reid on television the other day. He's slow. He did not come up with a single solid answer. He really avoided every question, and he answered it. Kept being asked over and over. He still wouldn't answer it. He should have more sense, and I don't understand. He's an intelligent man, albeit slow, not quick on his feet, but how can they sit there and believe that our country is better in the past 3 years than when Obama took office?
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes...
do we put a blindfold on?
It's a matter of opinion, obviously. I look at it and I think, that's what makes America great is that we have room for all of these opinions. And I don't agree with what the Democrats are doing to the country. I don't agree with the health care reform. I don't agree with the tax and spend mentality. I hear a lot of people talking about why don't we just tax the rich more? Why don't we just get more from them that'll fix the problem? When there's all kinds of evidence that type of behavior drives businesses and jobs out of the country.
But how can a person think if they keep giving to the poor who aren't going to go work, that isn't going to help a work ethic, that will cure everything? How does somebody get in their head that they can take money away from this person and give it to this one? I think that's a choice. It should be a choice. It's called a donation.
Yeah, it is. And I've had that discussion before is that, I hope to be wealthy someday, cross my fingers. Sure. You want to pursue the American dream. And one of the main reasons I want to do that is to help people, and not so the government can force me to help more people. I'm going to do that voluntarily. You follow the basic idea that doing anything, first you look at how hard it is to do that thing. And if you make it harder to do something, people will do less of that thing, more than likely, unless the reward is going up. So what's the reward for being charitable? What's the reward in America for being wealthy? Has that gotten easier to do over the last 4 years? Clearly not. Whether you want to point at politics or market forces, I don't think President Obama has a good argument that it's easier to be successful.
He got votes because he said he would take care of those that could not take care of themselves or would not take care of themselves. Are those people going to vote for him again?
Oh, I think he'll always have a pretty big mass of people that will do that. But his own party...
He hasn't helped.
His own party has shown some real disenfranchisement with that idea. He hasn't been able to deliver. His list of promises was just too high. He couldn't deliver.
So
he didn't have enough of our money to deliver.
So then let's go back to, yeah, that's true. Let's go back to the beginning. Is this guy a puppet to an organization?
Which guy?
Obama.
No, he's a leader, and he's the president. And to be clear, he's my president. And I support him. He's my president. I don't agree with the way he runs the country, and I don't intend to vote for him. But that's part of what makes America great. And I really believe this about law, about politics, about freedom, is the fact that in certain circumstances, even with people we don't agree with on almost everything, and politically speaking, we will coalesce and we'll act together with one voice. That's what's great about America, and that's why they call us the United States of America. We are united. And that's the one thing that's important, I think, when we talk about politics and we look at the political rhetoric. It's the class envy, the class warfare, the Republicans versus Democrats, liberals versus conservatives. Sometimes, even without meaning to, in the competitive nature of politics, we tend to stop referring to each other as people. You may be a liberal, I might be a Democrat. You're still a person, and I need to respect that. And I found a lot of my Republican friends have a real difficult time doing that. I agree with their ideals, the way the country should be worked, but the vitriol, sometimes you got to bring it down a notch.
Well, I tell you, I've watched enough of this with this man, Obama, and I feel like that he still won't reveal any documentation on his birth or where he went to school, and nobody knows who he was or where he was. And I really have had this, it's only a theory, but I've had this theory that he was placed in this position by the powers of people with money that could do that, could make this happen, and that there's a plan in the background to take America apart, to destroy all the things that I believed in as a child. And I've talked about that on the air. I grew up, we had prayer in the morning at school, and then we pledged the allegiance to the flag. And then we added "and under God," and now all this is trying to be changed or has been changed. And it feels like if I look back over a lifetime, that it's being dismantled, not built up. That the things that we believe in are being one by one taken away, which really irritates me. Because so go get sued, because I got involved in California in women's issues. Mm-hmm. And they lumped them all together. They wanted abortion to be part of the hiring process, discrimination. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute, what are we doing here? And yet they rolled a lot of things together until we made enough noise that they split them apart. And yet you can't put a monument on public property anymore that has the word God in it. What the world is that about?
Well, and these things really, to the largest
they look
extent,
like little bitty things.
Yeah.
But if you look at what's happening, we're losing the ideals that we believed in.
And these
your
things
parents
have to
believed
be
in.
these things have to be defeated with votes. That's we get up in arms about this, but this was the very system actually that was designed by the framers of the Constitution. There was meant to be a pendulum swing back and forth, liberal, conservative, Democrat. It was meant to be a competitive system where really the will of the people was what would drive things. If enough people are upset about the things you're mentioning, and I personally feel a lot of those things are very upsetting to me, they get off their complacent hindquarters and they go do something about it. But how many people vote?
This county in Utah County is the worst. We have more registered voters and fewer people voting per capita than anywhere else in the United States. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Because we think Heavenly Father will watch over us and take care of everything. Mm-hmm. And we can sit home and it'll all just turn out to be happy Zion.
Yeah. Well, there is a complacency there, and there's a danger in complacency, I think, in either side. And I talked with a friend of mine about this, and this is really what drove me to be interested in the law, because it is about taking care of people, taking care of groups, and really there is danger in almost any organization or group getting an unchecked power. And so as far as I'm concerned, this comes back to my libertarian view, is really anyone with power, be it big business, be it the Republican Party, be it the Democrat Party, being any other source of power, of course they're going to abuse it. Of course they're not going to act in the interests of the people. They're going to act in their own interests. That's why the framers of the Constitution set up a system of checks and balances where when something started to get askew, we would vote it away. And I'm glad, because that's the same thing with the legal system. It may not seem like a great system, but it does work.
It does work.
It does work. When there's really egregious abuses, you can go and you can find somebody to do that. And that's why I love practicing law.
Talk to me. Well, I married one because I wanted to go to law school.
A lawyer,
and
yeah.
I did. I really did. So the next best thing was to marry one.
You got your hands full, didn't you?
I did. I really did.
We're
Entitlement. That's true. I've known some really great attorneys. I have. I've known some that I wouldn't want to do business with particularly, but I've known. But that's true in business anywhere.
That's why they bury lawyers 12 feet underground, because deep down they're really good people. They really are. So.
Thank you. Talk to me about entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in this culture in the South, and I felt entitled. I did. I felt very entitled to having a good education. I felt I was entitled. And I took that with me through high school, and now I've overcome myself, and I don't particularly feel that way. But there are people that feel they are entitled, and I see them in the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm. Well, I see them all over the place, and I think it's more of a socioeconomic factor that you're seeing in America, that it's really not just the Democratic Party, but even Republicans. The question is, you're entitled to what?
Yeah,
and entitled
okay.
to what, and from whom?
That was my question, too. Why does this word keep coming up? Because I do understand a little bit of it on the social ring a little bit. We thought you're raised in the South, you're treated royally. Women are raised, and young girls are raised to believe in who they are and what they are, and we're catered to. And I grew up thinking I was the most precious thing. I had 5 aunties that said, "You are so precious," and I believed it by the time you hear it enough. Why, you're so smart, and you're just precious, and you're so cute. Well, reality hits you a few years later, and you go, what was that all about? But there is a thing inside of us, some of us, that feel we're entitled to freedom. We're entitled to the best life that we can create for ourselves. But now I'm seeing misuse of it. So talk about that.
Well, it is, and there are, that was part of our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men were created equal, endowed with certain inalienable rights by their Creator. Okay, and so
good for you.
Freedom, that's something you're born with. The life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, these are things that are yours, but they're tools in a toolbox. You go out and you do something with freedom. I am free to do what I wish. I'm not free to choose the consequences. Entitlement, sometimes when they refer to entitlement, of course you're entitled to those things, and you're entitled to pursue happiness, but the entitlement is usually something where I think somebody else ought to provide this for me, not that I ought to be free to go and pursue this for myself. And that's really where we're starting to run afoul, is because we do have things we receive from the government. The Constitution contemplates that we're supposed to have provide for the common defense and the general welfare, and we need government because there are certain bad actors in society that will run completely amok if left unchecked. There are criminals, there are bullies, there are bad businesses. All of these things.
Okay,
but the question is, what more can we expect or have a right to expect from our government?
Okay, and this is what I'm getting down to. There are people now that, a few I have known, who think they're entitled to have someone else's money. They think they're entitled to that because they've had a rough life, a tough life, and they're not going to work anymore. They feel they're entitled to stay home, drink beer, eat spaghetti, and watch TV, or some other design of that, like that, and that entitlement. And it seems like it's on the loose. And now I hear people saying from the top, the president, they're entitled to have a millionaire's money. He's not entitled to keep what he's earned. These people should have his money.
Well, and to be fair, I think what a lot of the people are talking about is taxation treatment. With Romney, he divulged he was paying probably an effective tax rate of about 15%, and he does very well. And I think actually that ought to argue for him being the president, not against it. We're in a country that is really struggling financially. We need somebody who knows dollars and cents and how to make money. The fact that he went into companies that were failing and put them in a position where they would succeed, again, is great. With entitlement...
But wait, people are missing the point there. This is his money. And he took a chance on it, and he brought his friends in and took a chance. This is not government money he's using, and this is where I'm irritated at how he's being treated, because he had a choice. He could have said, pass on this. I'm not going to try and help anybody. I'm not going to try and save any of these
What
companies.
they're doing, though, is painting him like a government raider. I'm sorry, not a
Vulture.
government. Yeah, he's a vulture. He's coming in on these dead and dying companies, looting them of their assets, maybe
And I don't
rolling
think they
them.
understand the process, because it was a choice. Nobody forced that. It isn't government money. It was his.
As an attorney, I see that all the time. You have companies that they're dead on arrival. They don't know it. They're bankrupt. They've been operating at a loss for a year and a half. Those people lost their jobs already. You cannot sustain that kind of activity. If somebody comes in and says, all right, we have to shut this plant down, you're hemorrhaging money. You just got to get rid of it. And that means people lose their jobs. If that means somebody else saves their jobs and the company comes into profit, that's a good thing, even though it wasn't pleasant.
Why isn't the country understanding that? Well, that isn't true. Some do. But the people that got hurt seem to blame it all on Mitt. And I know that it doesn't happen overnight. It's simply a company does not go broke overnight. It's a process. Bad management, not enough capital, whatever. But there are lots and lots of reasons, and yet they've picked out these people, paid the money to make the commercials for Newt, and get on and speak your evil.
Well, again, people tend to be short-sighted. It feels bad to let someone go. It feels bad to fire. So this is a real person. You've got to look in the face and say, I'm sorry, you don't have a job anymore. One of the most important things in your life, your self-esteem's tied up with it. Your financial and physical well-being is tied up with it. They're also mad at Mitt because of the taxation. I think fundamentally people don't understand that business drives America. And anytime you make something more difficult, you disincent people to go do that. If you're going to make it more difficult to go do business, there's going to be less businesses. There's going to be less jobs. They're angry that the tax rate on businesses is lower than tax rate on individuals. I think the individual tax rate being that high is ridiculous as well. It ought to bring it down, but certainly don't.
Ron Paul says no tax.
Well, again, okay, how's he going to provide for the common defense? I thought he was a constitutionalist.
Right.
You gotta keep the planes in the air. So
we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute. This is Pat Sheranian with Jonathan Jaussi. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to create another revenue stream in 2012? Are you willing to put out the effort, generate some cash flow? Pat Sheranian is seeking 10 motivated individuals to join her Kyani team as independent distributors. Earn as much as you are willing to work for selling Kyani Sunrise, Sunset, Nitro FX, and Nitro Extreme. These great products are helping thousands of people enjoy better health and an improved financial situation. The most successful Kyani independent distributors started by trying the Kyani products, just as you can, virtually risk-free, as Kyani offers a 30-day money-back satisfaction guarantee. Try them and don't like them, and you'll get your money back, less the shipping costs. So many people today are challenged by obesity and diabetes, or don't have enough money for their needs, and they aren't doing anything about it. Don't be one of them. Call Pat Sheranian at 801-362-9552 to find out more about Kyani and what it can do for your health and for your wealth. That's 801-362-9552.
You don't have to travel far to look how the LDS Church carried out the Lord's mandate in taking the restored gospel to the entire world. Fernando and Queta Gomez have now opened in Provo an extension of a museum that was established in Mexico City 20 years ago with the objective of collecting, preserving, and exhibiting such information. Their inspiration comes from his Aunt Consuelo's legacy, which inspired them in securing such incredible Mormon history. The seeds planted by hundreds of missionaries from Zion since the 1800s are reflected in the exhibits along with testimonies of local Mexican saints. Newspapers that were published in Mexico during the 1800s give not only the history of the LDS Church, but detail its doctrine as well. The Museum of Mormon Mexican History opens Tuesday to Friday, 2 to 6, Saturday, 10 to 6. Visit us at 1501 North Canyon Road in Provo. Admission is free. For group visits or information, call 801-830-1468, 830-1468.